Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
A few important takeaways. One is about the choice router. Hope you understand about choice order is a simple router, right? So one more time. The choice router, yeah, it's called router because it routes the request to different paths, right? Yeah? Okay, based on the condition it routes the request to different paths. That's right. So we will configure one condition, the first path. If this satisfies, means if ename, emp name is there, this path will execute and it won't execute the rest of two paths. This will execute and move to the transfer message component, right? Okay, so it has to. Yes, it should not be empty or no. Yeah, because we are passing emp name here from here. Right, see, in this case we are passing emp number, we are not passing emp name. This will be null, emp name will be no, right? So this condition not satisfies. First condition is not satisfied, then it checks the second path condition. This path condition. Right, so here emp now not equal to null. Yes, we are passing emp number. It is not equal to null. It is 1868, right? So it takes the second path and next it excludes the transformation component. It won't exclude the default if all the condition fails. If we are not passing the, for example, from the postman, we are not passing either employee number or employee name. Just we are sending the request like this. So in that case, what happened? What happened is it will take a default. Yeah, default. So then you can able to see something. We log in the default path. So that is called invalid option, right? This got printed over here, right? So that is about the choice router. This is one of the important takeaway choice router loads. The request based on the condition on the paths. Okay, whatever condition satisfies, it routes to that path. Yes, so I understand the choices exactly. Can you click the choice icon? Okay, I want to see what you configured. Do you configure anything under here? The problem under here. Nothing, no, right? Nothing. Okay, yeah, only the paths. So the first choice, we saying that if the attributes query parameter employee name. Yeah, if employee name is not empty. Yeah, exactly, it's gonna do that. It's gonna do the select statement, yeah. And the second one is that if employee number, maybe yes, right? Okay, now I got it. But you're only transforming one and only one. You're not doing. I know this will just a practice, right? We just want to see. But that transform is only does, it only works on one group on the employee idnum. So do you see the transform message? Yeah, it's only doing right now one, right? It's only tied to one. Right now, what this transform is doing just is transforming the payload to the JSON format. Okay, on either condition, on either conditions, right? Either conditions. Yes? Yeah, both the condition, one both. Yeah. Now tell me one question. I lost. So here if we pass both emp name is equal to sum and emp no is equal to. I am passing both example. Okay, yeah, you won't work. In that case, which route will get executed? The default one. No, it checked the first route, right? If this satisfies, then it's done. It won't check the rest of the routes because we are passing employee name. Employee name is not equal to null. This path will get executed. I go to the transform, so it's not going all the way, just checking if the first condition is met. Yeah, then it will run even though the second condition also satisfies. In this case, we are passing employee number also, but it doesn't matter. It won't care that one, only the first one. Yeah, I see it makes sense if this. If this not satisfies, then only go to the next path. Okay, that is in the choice. Router and database select is one of the takeaway. We need to see how to configure the connectivity here. Yeah, right. While config connected, we need to configure driver first. Then we need to give where this database is running, what database credentials, all the stuff. That's right. Okay, next we will configure the query part. Yeah, you'll call the query part if you're passing any parameters. We need to pass parameters like this. Okay, right? Employee name. Okay, so this is any parameter, whether it's a URI or query parameter, it's similar, right? Similar configuration. This not related to your query parameter. This related to query database parameters. So skull query parameter for skull query. If you're passing any anywhere clause, then you need to configure like this. If there is no way, I see there's no other option. There is not like. This one is a like. Under input parameters, you use an equality parameter, but also you could have used it your I parameter. Yeah, you are whatever you want, you can map that one. That doesn't matter. Okay, but if you do in the select queries like statement, if you're passing a parameter, you have to design in this way, employee name equal to, then put a variable name or exactly colon variable name. This is called placeholder. Yeah, placeholder, right? Placeholder. That placeholder we need to map in the intersection. Okay, all right, attributes that. Yeah, so it's right now like it could be like, for example, like employee name, colon attributes that I could use a URI parameter. Yes, you can, absolutely no problem. Yeah, that name, but on the post. But on the post or on a, what do you call a postman? Then I, instead of saying equal to, I use you know, in a crisis, right, braces? Yes, yeah, to pass the URI from your parameter. Correct, got it all right. Okay, then what you see why this required we? If you pass like this, what happens for employee name is equal to, I'm passing like Psi. There is some employee called name Psi in the database. I want to, you know, get if I give like this, what's happening any wrong over here? So employee name, you will say so. So the challenge is okay. For example, there is an Adam is implies there. If I give Adam, as you know, okay, I need to proceed with details. So what is the problem? So the problem is here, the input parameter doesn't match. And that is not the case. What happens is if you configure like this is hard-coded, right, is always fetches Adam's details. Only that's right. Here we dynamically, we are passing the, you know, employee name. We're fetching that employee details, right? That's right. It's dynamic. It's dynamic. If you do this becomes static fixed. Yeah, right? So we won't, get that feature for that purpose if you want. If you want your query to be dynamic, then we need to configure like this. Okay, got it, got it. Yeah, these two, and next thing. Next example in databases, all these database operators are self-explanatory. You can practice. I can give that one. Only one important thing is this one on table row. Okay, this is a one important thing. This is a little different. So on table row is like this. Let me explain little theory about on table row. You have a requirement like, so there is a table called employee table in your database. And there is one application, some her application, some application. Whenever a new employee joined in the company, it is adding the record to this employee database. Yeah, okay. Yeah, then what happens is there is another application. It has to do some onboarding activities for employee. So whenever a new record added to this table, it has to pick that record, and it has to do onboarding process. Some creating email or creating something's going to rate right when employee joins to company. Yeah, okay. This is different application, some onboarding application. Okay, so in that case, it's this application is keep on listening the database table right whenever it's checking. So it's checking if there's if it's new entry, right? Exactly. Okay, so if you have such requirement, this is on table row. Okay, on this table a new row adds, then this automatically triggers. Okay, for that purpose. See, I'm creating one simple. This on table row is an event source, is not an event listener. Sorry, event processor, it event source. Right, so we need to tell on which table it has to listen. Okay, I'm configuring the same database configuration, and if you configure the database, this the host name, all the things, right? Yeah, you can able to see all the tables on the database. See, here I have other comment country employee locations. These are some different tables. Are there okay? So those tables are there here. See, in the Mule support, there are these tables, right? All tables got loaded here. Yeah, okay, whether we need an employee one. Okay, if you want employee one. What is the employee table? Then you should select which table you want to listen. So I want to listen, right? And you have to select what is the frequency. It can check frequency. If you can tell, okay, I have this component has to listen the database for every 20 seconds. Right, scheduling frequency for every 20 seconds. It will go into the database for new tables. Sorry, new records. Got it. Yeah, okay, let me configure a simple logger over here to print the database records. Yeah, let me. So we did not do anything. See its database. You know it's printing all the records. see a gross salary, employee number, employee name, right, for another 20 seconds. It will print again. See if you see the timestamp. Yeah, it is about C32 earlier. It is, what's the time? Sorry, 10 after 30. How many seconds? Every 20 seconds. I think, right, you call for 20 seconds. Yeah, 20 seconds, right? See here. Log stamp, time stamp, Adam. So I don't know. And so the purpose here is to read the table for every 20 minutes or to check if there is a no roll. Excellent question, Adam. I like this so. So whatever frequency you configure here, right, every 20 seconds you can go and check, fetch all the information in the database. But that is not an ideal case, right? People would want newly inserted records after that point. That's right. Yeah, so for that you need to configure something like watermark, okay? Okay, watermark column. So if you configure watermark column, what happens? First time it will print all the things. Next time onwards it will take a timestamp. After that timestamp, newly added records only, it will return. Yeah, okay, so I'm configuring the watermark column as the employee number. We need to configure the primary key of the database over here for you for watermark column. That's right, okay, so let me clear the console. Yeah, first time. Sorry, it's log and it's logged. I cleared the console. Okay. And what I'm doing is I'm inserting a new record. This watermark column is not proper, man, because it's not an increment with actually watermark column. Should do an increment, man. Okay. Okay, I give some highest number the something added. Okay. Finish. Then if I see this record got returns, right? Only this record returns. Chicago location. And the next time onwards it won't return anything unless a new record got added with employee number greater than this employee number. Oh, actually our database column is to be auto increment is not like that. But okay, and this is my mistake. I didn't make as our increment. So hope you got the idea about the watermark. Yeah, that's right. So that's how it's supposed to. So it knows right now where to start from next time. Yeah. That's about on table row. So I have a question. Yeah, then, how do you then? how do you configure it? And to say, how do you configure like for someone, like in that exact to that table. How can we say and but somehow, maybe this is not ideal table, right? Somehow it's still printing. Some of it's built in. Yeah, what is the I see new line is written out or again. No. That's different. That's not a new. What is this? This is a different statement. It's not an something like SL statement. Okay. We got is only one time. Okay. So my question to you is that how do you club and how do you and configure but how do you take the table role? Like for example, like in this flow, you have write the choice route and all that stuff. That might be different. I don't know. So what I was thinking is that right now, you only configure and a follow by itself. Right? That has this thing and call on table role. Exactly. So you could do something like this. This is saying on table role and then create another flow, right? And not something like yeah, like a transfer. Like transform the yeah. Exactly so. What I want to do is I will transform the new record. And I want to store the record to file. I want to write the record to file. Okay, that's nice, yeah. File right. You need to give the path where you want to write in your machine in the path section. Yeah, test folder. Yep. I want to return over here C drive test folder. Okay, so C test. Employees and I want to write links. So here I'm transforming to JSON because I want to write a JSON format, right? Yeah. What you need to transform is you transform the payload. Because the thing you return is a payload to the transform component. Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to add one more record to the database. Now 0.2. I'm adding the symmetry card. So I did this record. Right. What happens if I add that record? After 20 seconds, you'll read. Yeah, it's got printed means yes. Let me go back to my path. So here I got an employees and file. If you open that file, you can able to see the record. It's opening. See this record we added. Yeah. So you can send this record to JMS FPMQ as a message. You put a choice router, something like if they are satisfied into JMS or only based on some parameter. You can send to either JMS or data. Sorry file based on some condition. So then you can publish it into JSM queue. Yeah. And then maybe then in the real life, create another application that consumes that and then outputs to another system. Exactly. And then we pick that from the JMS and we get to write to the file. Yeah, and it might be in some other database, some different database. Things will be there like that only in real time. So Ganesh, this is really good. Yeah. So you get this from the new record from the database. You transform it. You can send it to JMS, right? And publish that message, right? Correct. And in real life, as we said, then you can have another application that consumes that message. And then transform it and write to another database or another system. That's common practice, right? It's common practice. Only you transform to another database that's the format of the other database you know, or the fields. You transform that format and write to the database. That's a common use case, right? Yeah, common use case, Adam. Yeah, it's quite common. In the integration space, different applications will communicate to each other, right? So one set of data needs to move to the other application. That may be, in a different format in the other application. The storage target is also different. Might be. I wish I could do something like that. There's a lot of cases I have like this that I would love to practice with you while practicing, sure. So alright, that's good. So this is how we do in databases. Database. One more thing you need to understand is about this bulk statements. We need to practice one of the bulk component, bulk inside. Right? So this is one important component. Like see what happens is sometimes like the integration will get different. One second. We have insert component. It's an insert. So insert component. We can send a record to database, insert into a table. If you want, I can show you the insert statement. Also very simple insert query. Simple insert into you. Have an idea of a SQL query? Yeah, I know, yeah. Simple. If you save simple insert query, a new record, you can able to add a new record to database using insert statement. That's right. So what happens is you need to read a file, read some CSV file. And that file from a location where this file contains 100 employee reports, 10,000 employee reports. You may have some. So your activities, you need to read that file, fetch all the employees from that file, transform that employees to the database format and insert to database. That is your activity. Yeah, right. So to insert the 1,000 employees, you need to contact database 1,000 times. 1,000 insert statements, right? Each insert statement is a network call. Yeah. Because in our machine, it is database and application running on the same machine. That is not issue. But in real-time database might be running a different IP address, different host, right? Yeah, okay. So we are doing 1,000 network calls and every time you need to connect to database and you need to insert. That is no. That consumes your network. Traffic and performance is also slow. It's not efficient. It's not efficient. Every time you're connecting to database means you're establishing a connection. That is expensive one. Takes time and resources. Okay, so the better idea is here using the bulk insert. What bulk insert will do is it creates all the insert statements and won't send until lin 1000. Infrastructure create. And it will send all 1000 insert statements in one call. So database will read that all insert statements and insert to database. So in one call I will send all the records. That is called bulk insert. Got it, Yeah, I do. Yeah, this is when we are going to insert. Many records are huge number of records. We need to use the bulk insert. Yeah, so I haven't used it, but I'm thinking this is a good practice for like a few creating like a first time. If you create a table first time for some, right? Yeah, with a lot of record, right? Yeah. If you have a log of record and first occurring table first time and you want to insert a lot of record, this is it's a good case. Exactly, yeah, a lot of records. This is we need to use the bulk insert. We should not use normal insert. Yeah, when there is situation. But if you're dealing with like after you create a lot of them and you expecting and some, not many, then do you see a case where a bulk insert is the what's? Okay, I have a question. So like what's the what kind of a? How many? What's kind of? What's the count of the records that's candidate for a bulk insert instead of a normal insert? You want higher limit, upper limit? Yeah. So what I'm thinking, and a 20 record or 15 record to insert table. Do you go? Do you go normal insert or do you go bulk inserts? I don't know. I'm just wondering what's the best practices for some. Yeah, I prefer bulk insert if you're inserting more than 50 cards. More than what? 50 or Yeah, less than more than 50. Yeah, more than 50. It's better go for the bulk insert. Let me see the bulk insert. Let me either. I read the documentation quite long. Yeah, that's fine. So the best practice. Always you need to read the news of signed documentation on the concept. Whatever we discussed here. That's right. So because I may not cover the entire, scenarios and stuff. Okay, I got it. Let me check. The best. That's fine. We'll look into that more later. I'm thinking. Yeah. Okay, go to the space and read this thing. That's good. Yeah, that is about the bulk concept. And these three things you need to understand is normal. Select update. Select, insert, update, delete. These are normal queries. Okay. Yeah. This is very simple. And other things like use on table row is important because you want to fetch the records from database and you want to do operations. Then if you have idea of the store procedures. Any? Write SQL scripts right in the database. That's right. So those also we can able to execute using a store procedure. Right? You have any SQL query. We need to just follow the SQL code. That SQL query got executed. Yeah, I think I'm familiar with the queries on the databases. So that's about the database connectivity. Please practice. If you have any question, you can get back to me at any time. I will be happy to support, okay? Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Next topic I want to discuss today. Today we discussed basics of the JMS. So JMS. And earlier in the starting of sessions, we discussed about HTTP connector by HTTP request, also discussed by, we called some other data, some other SQL, HTTP URL. And we covered the database. And I will send you the pure JMS and you can create a new JMS. And you create a JMS. So I will discuss the JMS in the next session. You know that's a lot of people in MuleSoft. They use a Salesforce stuff. So I can create something for test stuff. Exactly. Yeah, you can create in the cloud. You can create some records in the Salesforce and you can fetch those records into your local and you can do whatever you want. Usually there is a use case is very important. Use case is Salesforce to database, bidirectional, synchronization. Wow, many companies want that one, yeah. Because the Salesforce in the cloud and the database in their on-prem system. Yeah. Right. So whenever a new record added to Salesforce and they want that record to your local database, that's right. And whenever a new record added to database, they want to transfer that database record to Salesforce. Yeah, we make these two systems in sync. That is a bidirectional sync. Bidirectional, yeah. So that is use case you can do to get idea about how to synchronize the Salesforce system and your local databases. So I have a question. Yeah. You saying that you can help me or there's a way to have a, like a data Salesforce, like a test system or some Salesforce. That's nice. I share your document to create an account in the Salesforce. Please create an account. How to create an object in Salesforce and that stuff you will discuss. This thing is done. So many characters are available based on our application requirement. We deal with those characters like as API Connect. I work at API Connect. Oh, but there is specific connectors. These are generic connectors. Now, one of the most important thing in the concept you need to learn is about error handling. What error handling? Error handling. That's key. So why we require error handling? What is the importance of error handling? Do you know? The key thing is that you know if there is an issue or there's a problem within. You know this application. You need to know. You need to catch the error. You know the exceptions or the problems. So that you can deal with it or manage the problems. Fantastic. Excellent. So if you don't have proper error handling strategy, you don't have any clue and it is very hard to fix that problem, right? That's right. That's right. So we need to configure proper error handling means. For example, you develop an application. As a mule, it will, connect it to different systems like database. Right. So database is not responding. Database is down. So from the client, you got the record and we need to insert that record to database. But database is not responding. Our client is expecting some information from the database. He is selected for review. But we are not able to, response back to client because the database is not responding. Yeah, right. Then what we need to do? First thing is we need to write a proper log statement to the log files. So that we come to know, okay, at this point, this is error. Because of that, we have not tried, so we need to. Whenever error occurs, we need to do proper logging in our log statement. Got it. So there are two kinds of errors usually. Right one is the system errors and business errors. You have an idea of system and business errors. Adam. So system error is, I think, something related to the system, whether it's like a network or database or, connections or access. That kind of stuff. And business is more like an application that you are dealing with right within the application. Yeah, so system is like when you connect to the network system. There is an issue that is called system error. And business error is like when processing the message. You send some message. That message is not proper. Some mandatory information is missing in the message. And instead of, memory edge, you send some string. Some information is not correct, so you're not able to process that message because the message is not, proper. So those messages fall on the business error. Right. Yeah. So how Mule manages this? Error handling is at 3 levels. First one is at application level. Application level. Flow level. And component level. So application level, flow level and component level. Right. So 5 global strategies for entire application. But suppose in your Mule application you have 5 flows. For 5 business operations, you define 5 flows. 5 flows. Wherever the error occurred, irrespective of any flow, you want to handle error in a similar manner. For that, you define one global error handler. So when an error occurs, you navigate. We route that error to the global error handler, and this will handle the error. So this is called application level error handling. Oh, you configure the error handling globally, you see. Okay, right? So at flow level also we have the error handling. I think in the first session we discussed flow contains 3 components. That moment I told you that we discussed about the error handling component later. The source, the processor, event source and processors and error handling. Right. So this section while processing the message. If you get the error, it landed it to the error handler section. Yes. Right. Then what activity we do instead of error handling? If error occurred, we need to do some activity, right? Yeah, so we can log the message to log file. So that message is available in the production logs. We can able to troubleshoot easily. Yeah. And we can send some notification emails to some teams. Nice, we got some error. Because of this, your processing is maybe delayed. Or if you get an error from the database, we can send an email to database support team. Hey guys, this is not responding to. Please check, something like that. Right. So we can send notifications. We can send logging, proper logging. Right. So those activities we can perform inside the error handling. Got? Right. Or else, if you don't want to send some, the technical stuff back to client. You want to send some meaningful message. You can configure that message over here. You can send that message to the client so that the client can able to understand. Right. The message rather than showing some technical trace so that he is not able to understand the technical side. So those things you can do inside the error handling. Alright. So one thing application level is you configure on global error handler. There you managing errors, right? That is global handler. Flow level means you define error handling inside the flow. You manage, you define the handling part inside the flow. And there is one more component level, means for each component. What I can do is in the flow. For example, this is a flow. I can wrap the component inside something called triscope. The scope is available, triscope. I can wrap the component inside the triscope and the triscope has an error handling section. What's called triscope? Right? Triscope. Triscope. Oh, triscope. Right. Okay, this is a tris. You can wrap the component or components inside the tris. So if the error occurs while processing that component, first it lands into the triscope error handler. So when you say the component, give me an example. Like what? Database select. Maybe the database select. OGMS publish. A transform message component. All these are components only. So transform message inside the flow. That's components. Yeah, that's component. So the listener is component. Listener is also component. But okay. So I understand that connectors could be a component, right? Right? What is the component? Here means the icon is or event processors, not even listeners. Event processors. So anything, any icons like for example, transformer or even the logger or anything that you drag inside the event processor. That's what component is. Right? So what I can do is I can put try over here and I can add the try component. So now this is try. Try has error handler, right? I use the try in partial. If you have Java guy, you might have instead of trying Java programming. Yeah, I uses there's try catch called something about try catch in partial. PowerShell. Huh? Ho. So basically before I execute anything, I say I use a try catch. Try catch. Fantastic. So let me just put one simple example so that we get some idea on that. Yeah. I will discuss about. So this is the try catch. Watch, okay. O- Okay. Is there the default quota? Here, what I'm doing is I'm trying to read a file. There is a file read component. You can read a file actually using this valid component. So I want to read the file, the one I created just now. Yeah, the employee JSON file. So there is an employee JSON file in the C test path. I want to read that file. Alright. Employee. What do you do when you put employee? Right. So what happens if I try to read the file but we given wrong name? So my intention is to read the employee JSON, but I missed the word here. I know there is some. By mistake I given employee. I misspelled. Yeah. So I'm trying to read a file that is not existing in that path, right? Yeah. Yeah. But that file is not existing. Oh. So to handle the error, the section is called Error Handling section. I can tell you, okay. We discussed about honor to continue and honor to propagate. As of now, there is one box in here. Right. Right. Okay. We need to tell what kind of error you want to handle. Maybe in your flow. Then you are doing different kinds of things, like you're talking to database, publishing. You are in Salesforce and do some transformations. You are doing, so many activities, but when the error occurs, error might occur in any case, right? Maybe error may occur while you are inserting record to database, or error may occur by publishing the information to JMS. Error may occur while you are trying to communicate with the Salesforce. The number of chances are there, right? So then, how you handle that error means which error you want to handle. You want to handle database error. You want to handle file error. You want to handle JMS error. What error you want to handle, right? So that type I need to go over here. If I click on the magnifying glass, it tells OK file illegal path. Because I'm doing only file operation, I'm able to see the file related errors. If I add database overwrite, but suppose select, then if you see that type over here, it contains DB connectivity. Nice. That is skill syntax. So based on the activities you are performing on the flow, component level, right? So each component, it has error handling and solution. Yeah. So if you want to handle error while reading the file, then you need to select file, illegal path, or file related file may be accessed in that error unit, right? So I have a question. Those options, right? Yeah, error type options. I know. Maybe I care about 2 or 3. But if you know if all these conditions can happen, right? Connectivity. And for example, like access denied and file lock and legal path. There's some of them that could potentially happen. Yeah. So what's the solution for that? Create that exception all the time. Everyone. One thing is you want, manage the error in a very specific manner or in a generic manner. Okay. So you want to handle error in a specific manner means very. If you're given file illegal path, then you need to configure this error. And you need to define one more box. On error continue. And for this box can handle the file locker file connectivity file. So you need to define multiple. You have to call it each kind of error. RSU, what you want is, I don't want all this. You know multiple handlers. I want to handle all errors in a generic manner. In that case, you need to define the as any R without giving any means. It will handle any kind of error. Whether it is database, whether it is, file as in any kind of error. Right? And that's better for all the components or per component. All the components is any handlers. All the components. Then why do we go for R? What is the design? Designed to define only any. Why we need to define a specific color handlers? Just because. Yeah, because we can. The scope of the error message is based on that specific alert. Yeah. The ones we expect and also the ones that we want to. That critical might be critical to the business, critical to the application to function. But the problem is that some applications have so many components and so many different errors can happen. Yes, and sometimes to create the each error in a box. It will become like too many. Yes, there is some requirement, Adam. You need to handle the file related errors in a different manner. And you want to hand in the database in a different manner. First of all, that is a requirement. Yeah, so what I'm doing is this one I'm changing to the database. So see, the first error, if any file illegal part means you're reading a file but you're given the wrong part. If that occurs, you want to send the email notification to some network team or something developing something. And you want to manage this error in a different manner. So you define dedicated. Scope for that. So if database error occur, you want to send a mail to database team. So for you dedicate scope for this. You are handling two errors differently, right? That is advantage. If you put any right, all errors occur in the same manner, means all errors are managed in the same manner. So you are missing the opportunity to handle in a specific way, right? Yes. Okay. So what is the best practices? You would define these specific boxes at the end. We will define any block means. Okay, I see none other satisfies. This will manage that error. Okay, got it, okay. So now, what is error? Actually, that thing you understand before handling what is error. Error means some situation, right? It is error. So error you understand. Basically error, everybody know. Error is a problem. Problematic situation, right? Yeah, so here the use of error is two sections. One is namespace. And second is identifier. Error composed of two, two sections. We will define error in two sections. Namespace means is it to which which names like is database or file or FTP or Salesforce. Right. That is called namespace. But suppose database DB is the namespace. DB. You may have different kind of error, right? You may given the wrong SQL. Because of that, error is coming. That is a bad SQL syntax. Bad SQL syntax, maybe chance SQL is good, but you are given the wrong password to connect to database. Then DB connectivity error, right? That is, you are not able to come to database because of the credentials are wrong. Right. So the identifier defines due to which reason or which which error you want to not able to database inside this namespace. Right? The file is a namespace. And you get file error because you are trying to read a file, trying to write a file. That is something like read-only files. So you're saying that the database file and whatever that component is the namespace. And whatever that's happening with this connectivity or the file path or access is identifier. Oh. So if you see the error type, right? If you see it's composed of database, batch SQL syntax, database. Database DB is the identifier, namespace, and the SQL batch SQL syntax identifier. So anything before the column is a namespace, after that is identifier. Exact. Right. So to handle this error, we need to define a scope. This is a scope. If I'm seeing this on error content, this is scope. That scope we define to handle that error. Now I recommend today you go to this part in the use of standard documentation. I saw one. I'll bring you that where you can see all the errors, actually the error hierarchy. Okay, so I'll explain one simple example. I'm just responsible. What I'm doing is so what's the log? I want to write some log statement. I'll put not exist in the set failure. Is verifying. So here, what I'm doing is I'm reading these. Okay. Deployed. Now I'm trying to read the file. What given? What part I given over here? You see the part of the slash. Only anything. So in getting message like please verify the filing. Yeah, because I was quick. So this is what a message is. We know set over here in the set payload. That is written to the client. Okay. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.